Hello, I am a nerd, and let's talk about Hank Hill and King of the Hill because I've just started watching the show. Hank Hill sells propane and propane accessories, that'll be important later. He is an avid family man, and he hates people from New York. So I am a nerd, and let's dig into whether Hank Hill would have supported Donald Trump. Now, let's talk about Hank Hill. And I'm gonna keep my political opinions out of this video, simply going through Hank Hill's political leanings and his ideology. Now, one thing that I think is important to talk about is that Hank Hill had a crisis over voting for a president with a weak handshake. Even though that president was from Texas, and even though that president was aligned with his political views, it's integrity that is the big thing for Hank. Would he shake your hand? Would he support propane? And would he, well, actually that reminds me to an episode I saw where he was initiating Bobby to something, into like a camp thing he did as a child. He went to shake Bobby's hand. He told Bobby, we do not support this bill that limits the usage of propane. Now this brings me to what would be Hank's absolute disdain with the president. He backs the coal lobby. Hank Hill is a propane and propane accessory man. And I think this has been thrown under the rug a bit with the conversation here because, he is about propane and propane accessories. So, even if he had a strong handshake, someone who backed coal as a form of energy Hank would not vote for. But let's think about other qualities that might appeal to him. Now, is Donald Trump from Hank's home state of Texas? He's a New Yorker. And more than anything, Hank Hill had a full-blown crisis from when he found out he may have been born in New York, which he was terrified at. Now, if Hank Hill was talking to Dale about who they're going to vote for, I'm sure that Hank Hill would have said something like, "Are you kidding? I'd never vote for someone who backed the coal lobby." I had this whole routine planned out. I'm so sorry, I forgot it. So, next question. Well, would Hank Hill support someone who sold steaks? Now, Hank is a great believer in cooking steaks from locally sourced farms. And the Orange Man brought his steaks from... Actually, where did he buy them from? Put that in the comments. So, he likes medium rare steaks. The Orange Man has well done steaks. That would be a big issue for Hank Hill as well. And yet another thing, my point is, when Hank Hill met a former president who was a Democrat, he was quite flustered and shook his hand, even though he was Democratic. It's because he has a respect for authority, but not when that authority is corrupt. And so, there's another thing that I think he would take an issue with. Remember when the Orange Man hugged a flag? You know what Hank Hill would say? Bobby would be like, "Dad, What's the orange man doing to the flag? My God! Cover your eyes, Bobby! Cover your eyes! What's he doing, Dad? And well, that is something that's absolutely insane. Now, Dale would definitely vote for Trump because he's a conspiracy theorist, and he would fall victim to the wave of conspiracy theories like QAnon that breached the thing during that breached politics during the Trump era. And yes, Dale would also be an anti-vaxxer during COVID. But honestly, I think Hank's biggest issue is that Trump is a billionaire, the orange man is a billionaire, who has very little integrity. Like, he doesn't like people from the big city Hank Hill does not like people from the big city who portray themselves as rich people. And he certainly wouldn't like a billionaire telling him what to do in his home state of Texas. Now, Hank Hill, yes, is a conservative, I completely get that. But what matters to him more than anything else is the small town ideals that he grew up with. And a serial adulterer would not appeal to Hank. I'm just sorry, them's the facts. I'm a nerd.